Well, many thanks for staying with us. I am Justin Akadonye. Now, there is a considerable progress in the implementation of a special relief intervention and initiative launched in Maiduguri by the federal government on June 8 to deliver effective and comprehensive humanitarian aid, especially for food, to persons displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. This is contained in a statement on a report signed by the spokesperson of the acting president, Laolu Akande. According to the update presented by the implementation team, the issue of diversion of relief materials to the IDPs will be significantly curbed under the new distribution matrix adopted under the initiative. Having listened to a presentation from the team overseeing the special relief intervention, the acting president described the initiative as a unique operation that promises to deliver on a well-laid-out plan, assuring all that the process would remain transparent and the objectives fully actualized. Professor Osinbajo solicited the support of the National Assembly, especially from members representing the region, to enable government realize its objective of maintaining an effective humanitarian service delivery led by the Nigerian government. In the meantime, the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has called on religious clerics to summon the courage to speak up against corrupt people in the society. Acting president made the call at the Aso Villa Chapel as part of activities to mark the 2017 World Fathers' Day. He said fighting corruption and other social ills are the cornerstone of the APC-led government. Addressing the congregation at the Aso Villa Chapel, the acting president called on religious institutions to be honest in the fight against corruption.
But we need to talk more about honesty. We need to talk more about truth. We need to talk far more about honesty. In the same way that we talk about giving, we need to talk about honesty. The greed of many is what has landed this country where it is today. It is the greed of so many who have been placed in positions of authority. It's that greed that has landed us where we are.
Now, still on the Father's Day celebration, as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate the day, acting President Yemi Osinbajo has urged the leaders of the church to ignore the looters of the nation's treasury. Osinbajo, who expressed concern on how those who fraudulently amass wealth have landed the country to where it is, called on the church to desist from holding such people in high esteem. The acting president called on all fathers in the country to be exemplary leaders that build generations of righteous men and women.
Well, just as I was saying, the Christian fatherhood has the responsibility of building up young people who are righteous and just, young people who fear God. That's the whole point of Christian fatherhood. And I think that, yes, we haven't done the best we can. We have certainly not rendered that particular service in the way that God expects us to.
On his part, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, warned against the collapse of family system in the country, urging the government to invest more in the family. He described the occasion as one of the most important days in the life of a nation.
The most important days in the life of a nation. If you realize that the nation is just a collection of families and the fathers play their role in the families, every leader, every saint, every villain, every good person, every armed robber, every militant, every terrorist comes from a family.
Earlier in his sermon titled Fathers to the Rescue of Our Beloved Nation, the prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Samuel Kalu Uche, stated that God established the family as a basic and foundation unit of a country.
That's what every father must do. When I see people 70-year-old, 80-year-old talking about go and try and go, those people are suffering from stupendous ignorance. They are both stupid and ignorant. Yes, an old man cannot be beating drum for war. An old man should be beating drum for peace.
We're still on the Father's Day celebration and away from Abuja now. Fathers have been advised to play with their children and engage them as to deepen the early learning process. Just as reports reveal that many fathers do not play or engage in the early learning activities with their children. Speaking to correspondent John Felix, some clergymen urge Nigerian fathers to ensure that all parents have the time, resources and knowledge they need to fully support their children's early development.
They must create time, adequately, consciously. Every father, every mother, especially father, must create time for the children, talk with them, find out their challenges in school. Are they going on? Are there lecturers or lecturers that have issues with? You need to talk to them, their academic world, their future. You need to cast a future for them and let them know, in spite of everything around them, they can still be forthright and come out good.
Specifically, those children, they need to discover what their role is in the bigger picture of what they need to fulfill here on earth. They need to help them in the choice of their career. They need to help them so that when they get into the larger society, they will be children of integrity.
They, however, enjoin fathers to break down the barriers that prevent them from providing for their young ones by ensuring that there is a conducive environment for them to thrive. They, however, called on government at all levels to carry out their role in nation building.
You know, for example, the government should have systems whereby children are rewarded for doing well. Children are rewarded not because of the family they come from or their background, but because they performed well, because they're diligent, because they're disciplined.
To many, Father's Day is celebrated to honor every responsible dad and to all the single mothers who have had to be fathers to their kids. We're still on the Father's Day celebration, moving now to Adamawa in Yola State, where the fathers have taken the center stage as a cathedral church of St. John's Anglican Church to celebrate the day in grand style. We're taking his reading from the Holy Book of Ezekiel 22 verse 30. Venerate Sunday Jasmiel says this year's theme for 2017 day is unique. He urged fathers to know their responsibilities as God has given them authority over women and their children.
Your life must be an example for your family to follow. If you are telling your children, go to church, you should lead them to church.
Therefore, encourage the fathers to live up to expectation and live an exemplary life so that their children will learn from them and become better in the society.
Father's Day is a day where that is set aside to celebrate fatherhood, the role of a father in the family. Fathers, as we know, is the head of the family, and a day is set aside to celebrate them for their duty and their role they play in a family, because a family is not complete without a father.
Some Christians, Silas Umejike and Jerry Benson, described the day as a moment for fathers to treat their wives as queens, as God has given man the mandate to lead the home so that he can give account on the last day.
Because the society is so corrupt, it therefore means that fathers have neglected their duties. That many fathers have failed in their duty to bring up their children in the way and the fear of God.
If you are a father and you know yourself as a father, you must be part of the encouragement team in your home, in the society. And of course, you have to fellowship with men in the house of God. So I want to really advise every father that a day like this should not pass you by, staying somewhere else doing nothing, but try to be with men where men are celebrating Father's Day.
Prayers for the nation and for the quick recovery of the president were also offered during the celebration. Still ahead when the news returns, federal government says hate speeches threat to national unity. I'll find out more when the news returns. And away from the Father's Day celebration, now the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has attributed the spread of hate speeches and false information on social media to the previous government of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, saying hate speeches destroy the country's unity and bring about violence. Lai Mohammed also said the present government does not marginalize any tribe, religion, or group of people in the country. He made the assertion in his hometown, Oro, in Irakbodon local government area of Kwara State during his yearly Ramadan lecture series. Lai Mohammed stressed that hate speeches and advent of social media have caused a lot of issues in Nigeria recently.
What are the problems that we face as a country? They are not unique to Nigeria. Every country has its own problem. It's not unusual for one part of the country to, agitate and say we want that. But one thing is clear: this government does not have an official policy to marginalize one part of the country against the other. These hate speeches are fueled by anybody being marginalized. I don't want to believe so.
In the same vein, Lai Mohammed also shed more light on why Dasuki and El Zazaki are yet to be released since they've been granted bail.
And we are saying today that in the case of both El Zaki and Dasuki, we're talking about national security. And I think I've said this on various platforms. It might not be palatable to many people, but I believe that if there's evidence that one person moved $1.2 billion in 2 transactions in one day, and up to today has refused to tell government where the money went to, who he gave the money to, and we're asking us to give him bail. Now, who of those people can guarantee that if he's given bail, he will still stay in Nigeria?
Now, still talking national unity, a former governor of Abia State, Ojuzo Kalu, has attributed the current agitations across the country to lack of social justice and inequality in the nation's polity. Uzo Kalu, who stated this in Abuja while speaking with Galaxynews, stressed the need for all Nigerians to be treated equally before the law. He charged government at all levels to embrace the rule of law and ensure they always obey court orders, as well as allow the people of every region have a sense of belonging.
The whole issue centers on injustice. People should be able to, not only to people in Biafra, people in Igbo area, the people everywhere, Nigerians are having lack of social justice. If they have social justice, rule of law, respect it, you have every laws of the country respected. You use one law to try everybody. You use one law to talk to everybody. There'll be no problem.
The former governor, who spoke on the recent quit notice issued by some northern youths, faulted the statement, which according to him does not promote one Nigeria.
It was a very big mistake to those that did it. It wasn't the right thing to do. I congratulated the 19 northern governors who came briefly to condemn it and who came also to say it wasn't the right thing to do. I believe a united, stronger, and together Nigeria. I believe that Nigeria should be stronger than we are.
Uzo Kalu also underscored the need for the restructuring of the nation's polity, noting that the current presidential system the nation is operating is expensive.
There is a need to go back to regions, whether region by state or region like region. If you leave me, I would like to see Nigeria of 10 regions, and we go back to regional government. The presidential system of government is very expensive. People are abusing the Senate, people are abusing the House of Representatives. They are not very fair in abusing them.
Now, moving on now, the General Secretary of the Cherubim and Seraphim Church Worldwide, Most Senior Apostle Iyoma Oyelakin, has appealed to Nigerians to pray for the peace of the country. He said Nigeria can only develop in an atmosphere of peace, tolerance, and harmonious living among the people, irrespective of religious and political differences. He said this on the sideline of the 4th Founder Day celebration of the Trinity Tabernacle Church in Lagos. Oyelakin said all hands must be on deck to build a virile nation where love and harmony, forgiveness and peace, equity and prosperity will reign supreme. The cleric urged Nigerians to remain patient in the face of political and religious intolerance, insecurity, and economic hardship because Jesus would help them triumph overall.
Only God and that true love of neighbor that will, of your neighbor that will solve the problem of corruption. If you love me, you will not steal my money. Because if you steal my money, I will suffer. You will be enjoying. You have forgotten that your generation unborn, they are still coming to share out of it. Let us continue to pray. God will take care of it.
Of the country into the hands of the Lord. So we beseech our leaders to please, we are pleading. They should give all religious sects, they should give them chance. They should give them the opportunity to worship God. There is no country in the world where religions are not practiced.
We're still on the state of the nation now. A professor of political science from the University of Ilorin, Badeojo, has stressed the need for equity and justice in Nigeria in order to ensure peaceful coexistence among different ethnic groups. Speaking in an interview with Galaxynews in Ibadan, Ojo said that the federal government must initiate appropriate actions that will unite those promoting the division of the country.
To get us unified, to get the country integrated, we must ensure that there is equity, there is justice, the way we run the federal arrangement. Today, the fiscal federal arrangement is like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
He said that what can only be achieved is national integration, as each ethnic group will find it difficult to do away with their identity.
When you are talking about national unity in a plural society, it is a bit difficult. We can have common focus. A Yoruba man will remain a Yoruba man forever. An Igbo will remain an Igbo man forever. An Hausa will remain an Hausa Fulani man forever. But as a country, we can have national focus on certain issues.
The political scientist charged the government to use the existing federal system of government to ensure that each ethnic group is given equal opportunity to operate. We're still talking national unity. An economist from the Department of Economic, University of Ibadan, Dr. Abimbola Oyinlola, has expressed concern about the ability of the recently passed 2017 budget to impact positively on the economy. Dr. Oyinlola said a situation where a larger percentage of the budget will be financed through external borrowing is not a good sign for the economy, saying that it will further compound the country's external debt profile.
Before the implementation of the budget will occur in any way, at least you have additional 2 months before you can see serious activities that will be going on in terms of capital expenditure.
Calling for the early preparation of budgets in Nigeria, the economists maintain that the appropriation bill should always reflect the reality on ground, as well as accommodate investors both within and outside the country.
Of course, this economic recovery, the budget of economic recovery will leverage on the economic recovery plan which the government approved, not quite long with they are implementing. So we want to see the link between the budget and the plan.
He added that efforts should be geared towards reducing the country's external debt instead of accumulating more debts. We're still talking national matters now. A lawmaker says the delay in the passage of the national budget is responsible for the high spate of abandoned projects throughout the country, leading to loss of scarce resources. Honorable Ogene Ego, representing Amuodofin Federal Constituency here in Lagos at the National Assembly, told Galaxy's Godfrey Obemeta in Abuja that the problem of abandoned expensive project in the country has been on for years, owing to the poor implementation of the national budget.
We started late, and what worries me is that this leads to abandonment of project. Because you sign a budget late, implementation starts late, Sometimes money will not be released the time. By the time you release money, it's only 3 months to the end of the budget. By the time they do the processes of award of contract, only 2 months. And then you give 50% to the contractor. Contractor goes to site, mobilizes, it does some work. By the time you go to evaluate the work and do, budget has expired.
The lawmaker mentioned a number of key road projects that have been delayed owing to the problem of poor implementation of the budget.
Look at the road from Lagos to Ibadan. They have been on that road for over 80 years. It's not completed. Today they say you concession it. Today you say you give a contract out. You know, look at roads leading from Abuja to Okene, from Okene to Aushi to Benin. It's so bad.
Tertiary institutions in the country to focus more on academic excellence and infuse more practical programs into their school curriculum. He said universities in Nigeria has not measured up favorably with other tertiary institutions across the world. Governor Akeredolu believes that Nigeria cannot develop with the crop of graduates that are being produced annually. Akeredolu commended the Federal University of Technology Akure Futa for its efforts at improving on the technology STEMs of the country.
Chancellor, it is most gratifying that your university is living up to expectation concerning its mandate as a university of technology. A satellite was launched into the space right from Akure. This is the first of its kind. While other universities battle with simple issues of existence,
And straight now to Plateau State, North Central Nigeria, where the Special Task Force maintaining law and order in the state and some part of Bauchi says that their latest resolve is to mop up illegal arms in the hands of individuals in the state. The commander of the task force, Major General Rojas Nicholas, disclosed this in Jos when parading suspected armed criminals. He said the cache of weapons, including guns and other ammunition, were recovered across the state.
We've been in the bush for some time, carrying out our assignment. In the course of this operation, we've been able to make this large arrest of weapons within the plateau.
Rogers said the proliferation of weapons in the state can be said to be responsible for criminalities and crises in the north central state, while calling on all troublemakers to relocate from the state. He urged the general public to cooperate with the task force by giving prompt reports of suspected individuals and objects in the areas.
You've seen for yourself the various degree of weapons, including some from the Sarasuka boys that have been harassing people, particularly in Jos North area. We'll continue to sweep the state of all these criminals and then mop up the weapons as possible as we can. We'll continue to employ the people, general public, to please give us information as to where some of these criminals have kept these weapons.
And straight now to Warri Delta State, where the Niger Delta youths under the umbrella of the Pan-Niger Delta Youth Leadership Forum have threatened to occupy oil installations in the region should the federal government fail to involve Niger Delta indigents in the concession of refineries. The group made this known in Warri during a media briefing on the need to maintain relative peace in the region. The president and coordinator of the group blamed the federal government for not being sincere.
Press, I think you understand that the people of the Niger Delta have been very sincere with government. The government cried out, begged for peace. Peace was given to them freely. But it's over a year that peace was given to them now, almost a year that peace was given to them. The government has not shown any good faith to the people of Niger Delta. Rather, they are coming with policies that are affecting the Niger Delta people. You cannot be asking people to down tool them. At the same time, you are ripping them off of the only assets that they have. It's not going to work anywhere. We as a people, we have been patient with the federal government. I think they are not sincere with their peace processes.
The concern here is this. Give us a straight policy statement on what you want to do with these refineries. You had come to say earlier before that you are doing private bidding. Now you are coming to say that you have not done any concession at all. You are looking for money and all that. What is his position? What is government position? We are not against concession, like the president rightly said, but it must accommodate our people, those who have bear the brunt of the operation of the refinery over the years.
On his part, the organizing secretary of the group promised the occupation of oil facilities should the federal government fail to heed to their plight.
We will resist any attempt at enslaving us in this modern day within the ambits of the law. We shall mobilize our people from all the nooks and crannies of the Niger Delta, all the host communities, all the pipeline-bearing communities that affect these refineries to occupy these refineries until justice is done to our people.
The group also condemned the part being played by the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku, on the concession of the refineries, while promising not to relent in their struggles. Staying with the Niger Delta region, the activists in Bayelsa State have blamed politicians from the state for not doing enough to sensitize the people on the ongoing voters' registration. The chairman of the Civil Liberties Organization and the Inter-Party Agency condemned what they described as a lukewarm attitude of politicians.
To query them, especially the bourgeoisie politicians and those who call themselves that they are to govern these states and to govern us. I think it's a shame that people are still living lukewarm attitude towards such registration areas.
If you have any political interest, to contest, I think this is high time they should be able to come out in mass to support INEC, to ensure that our people can be able to come up, to register.
On the activities of politicians, the Civil Liberties Organization called on Bayelsa youths to be wary of them.
The politicians, they are all at large. We don't see them. But when it comes to the nearby period, they will come to the radios and TV and deceive our people. I think Bayelsa should be wise, especially the youths who are even clapping hands for these people. We should be wise.
You're watching the news on